And people light these candles not because they earn extra bonus points for heaven, but the flame is a powerful symbol of the Holy Spirit. Also, we know from reading, especially Gospel of John, that light is often associated with Jesus, that we live in darkness and the light came into darkness. Almost think of it like a candle coming into the cave, and how it totally illuminated all of reality for a person. We are enlightened by Christ. Right here is that other main side altar that was used for masses every morning, and it's obviously the mass in honor of Mary. This statue is in honor of Mary under her title of the Immaculate Conception. On the left we see Saint Aloysius Gonzaga. Saint Aloysius Gonzaga. Gonzaga University is named after him. He was a very young Jesuit who was not yet ordained, but he died before. He's actually a teenager when he died, and so there was a great devotion to him. This here is Saint Barbara. Saint Barbara is no longer on the universal calendar of saints. Again, more information than your guests need. But Saint Barbara, we know it's Saint Barbara. Why don't you come this way? Do you see the tower in the back? When you see the tower associated with a saint, that is more than likely Barbara, because at one point her pagan father was trying to get her to no longer be Christian, to convert back, if you will, to paganism, and so he held her up in a tower. Some people conjecture that the fairy tale of Rapunzel is based roughly on this real story of a saint. She was martyred, and remember, how do we know? We can see a sword there, and she was not a soldier. In fact, you will see no Christian saint holding a sword, sort of like glorifying soldiering. The swords that you see with saints they're instruments of execution. They're instruments of execution. In fact, a great many of the early saints, early saint martyrs, martyr means that you're a witness to the faith, even to the point of giving your life for the faith. Many of the early martyrs were soldiers in the pagan emperor's, the Roman emperor's army, who gave up their soldiering for Christianity. We have to remember that Christianity, original Christianity, was 100% pacifist. No soldiers were allowed into Christianity unless they left that behind. Well, you can see how that would kind of peeve their sergeants, or whatever they call the leaders of their troops, and so they were going AWOL, and so they were executed. I would like to point out one other statue from this spot here. At the very end of this aisle, towards the entrance of the church, we have the Pieta. I'm going to say that again. The Pieta. You can see this statue was originally in the Vatican. You can see it now in the Vatican by Michelangelo. But this statue is a painted version of the Pieta. The one in the Vatican is not painted, and it's the classic image of the crucified Christ being held in the arms of his mother. Let's go inside the sacristy now. The sacristy, just want to review that we had been earlier in the sanctuary. That's in the apse. Remember the apse, the microphone, or the megaphone, I mean, in pre-microphone times. The sanctuary is where the Eucharistic celebration takes place. The sacristy is where the ministers at the altar get prepared. So let's come in here. And just want to point out that even though it says for emergency use only, anybody can use this bathroom here. The light is on the inside. You might have some guests who might need to use it. It is, and in fact, at Mass, anybody is free to use this. I know at one time that no one could use it, but we can now. So here's the sacristy, and as you can see from the woodwork, it's in incredible shape. Absolutely beautiful shape. We might junk it up a bit, and hopefully by the time of the tour it'll be cleaned up a lot more. But this is where all of the vessels, this is currently locked, but this is where the chalice is, and various other items that we call them sacred vessels. The chalice, the ciborium, which holds the Eucharist, We reserve the Eucharist in the tabernacle in a ciborium, but the chalices are in here and so forth. And then we also have like the sacramentary, which is the book that I pray with at Mass. Again, do your visitors need to know this stuff? No, this is just for your information. And if you look at this, online presentation again, you might remember it. It's not important that you do. So there are newer vestments are over here in our presentation. We'll have our older vestments exhibited for people to see. Over here we have we call it the greenhouse, but actually that's not an accurate term, because a greenhouse properly faces the south so that the sun can come in and warm up the plants. This faces the north, so it doesn't get a lot of sun. But what it is it gets sunlight, and so we conjecture that the Franciscans, this was a heated room. This was where they had their plants, at least during the winter months, to stay green and so forth, because there's some light here. We're not going to go this way yet. We're going to go in this way into the friary. Just want to point out that this is a very dangerous stairs. I don't encourage people to go down these stairs. So if you have people checking that out, please encourage them not to. Let's go into the friary. This is the main way into the church from the friary. Now that's probably where the Franciscan friars would have gone. That's the door that they would have used to go into the church. Because remember, the friary was here before the church, the current church. The current church was built in 1885. That's why I like to kid people. When do you think was the 1885 church built? 1885, right. The friary, as you probably already know from your written material, was built at least the original section was built in 1868. 10 years after we became a state, 10 years after we became a parish. We existed before then, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But in 1868, the original section of the friary was built. This section that we're in right now sort of links the old friary with the church, and it was built sometime in the 1870s. The church was built in, the current church, which is the third church, was built in 1885. There was one previous church where the current church is. Before that, and this is going to be way more information than your guests are going to need, but the original parish church, built in 1858, was over near St. John's Lutheran Church on the other side of Highway 41. And I'll spill the beans on how we started originally as a community, a faith community. We started in 1842 when Father Augustin Ravoux, I'll say that again, Father Augustin or Augustine Ravoux, who was a pastor assigned to St. Peter's in what is now Mendota, the town of Mendota, right across from this Fort Snelling. You know where Fort Snelling is, at the confluence of the Minnesota and the Mississippi River. Right there was the parish church, and so he was assigned as a new priest, assigned to go up the Minnesota River, and in an area that was called Little Prairie. There was no town here. Little Prairie. It was Dakota Indian area, and he would, at the behest of Jean-Baptiste Faribault, who was a trader at the time, and had excellent relations with the Native Americans here, the Dakota people. In fact, he actually married a Dakota Indian. He came here and started a mission church. Now, this is where it's going to be confusing, because he didn't call the mission church